What's up, fam? This is Dr. O coming to you live once again, talking about things still going on in the country as it relates to Charlottesville and white supremacy and many other challenges that we're facing, obviously before this past weekend, but even right now. And one of the things I've been really thinking about is that over the last few days, we've put such high praise on the bipartisan condemnation, not on a presidential level, of course, but bipartisan condemnation about what's happened in Charlottesville. We've praised people like Elizabeth Warren and Marco Rubio and John McCain for condemning white supremacy. But really, at the end of the day, when we think about our leaders, there's a lot more that's going on that they are actively working to destroy that we're not speaking on. And we need leadership to challenge that as well, because yes, we can condemn white supremacy, but let's also condemn voter suppression, right? Let's condemn what's happening with our schools and the Department of Education trying to underfund everything that we're doing under Betsy DeVos. Let's also condemn the fact that many of these congressmen and senators, they're in support of cutting things like Pell Grants. And let's also remember we have an administration that has blocked funds that were administered by Obama to help desegregate schools. Yes, we're talking about desegregating schools in 2017. But every single day, so many of these leaders are out there actively working to keep us dysfunctional, to keep us as a community from coming together. And so we can't get too caught up in people taking the right step and saying things verbally, because what they're doing legislatively is a bigger problem. It's like Dr. King said, you can't regulate morality, but you can legislate behavior. Yes, we can work on the laws and put things on the books to work against what's happening with the white supremacy and everything like that. But I like what Joe Madison said. He said back in the day we were dealing with Jim Crow, and now we're dealing with his cousin, James Crow Esquire. We got people in their fancy suits and ties who are actively working to keep us down and keep us suppressed. So yes, we need to get out there and fight the people who are, and I mean fight on a verbal scale and on a spiritual scale, because I'm not encouraging violence in any way, shape, or form. We need to get out there and be part of that resistance, but we also need to continue our resistance in fighting for healthcare and fighting those legislators who are actively working against creating a system where people in America are not fighting over small pieces of the pie, but are working together to make a bigger pie. We need to do that. We need to do that. And so we can't get caught up in these little moments, significant as they were. Many leaders stepped up to the plate, but what are they doing behind the scenes? What are they doing behind these closed doors where there are few people of color and few women represented in many of these debates that are going on about the future of this country? What are we doing as it relates to that? We need to make sure that every single day we are keeping the pressure on our leaders. I believe it was Kiyosaki who said, if the people lead, then the leaders will follow. So what I'm saying to all the leaders out there is I'm demanding more. Yes, I want you to get out there and continue to condemn white supremacy and what's taking place as it relates to the violence and the hatred, but I also want you to look at your record and see what you're doing to prevent all Americans from being part of the American dream, from making an America as good as this quote-unquote promise. There's more to do. All of you who are out there talking about we need to get out there and fight this and fight this, yes, but we also need to fight at the ballot box. We also need to make sure that we're having legislators who are out there actually doing work beyond the rhetoric, beyond the words, beyond what we just expect of them. Because we need to demand true leaders if we really want this country to go in a different direction. I'm sorry, we continue going on the direction that it has been, because we are not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. And there are many people, including our current president, who are fighting to take us back. But yes, we have to make sure that we're not going back. And yes, come on now, we're talking 2 or 3 days as it relates to President Trump making a statement actually condemning white supremacy. But he also did not say that those guys who are out there using my name, I condemn that. I do not associate with that. But the fact of the matter is he missed his point. And yes, presidents throughout time have been forced into action, but he missed his moment, not to mention the fact that just last night he is retweeting a fan, a darling of the alt-right, the same person who put out stories about Hillary Clinton running a sex trafficking ring in a pizza shop that led to a man coming in there with a gun to challenge that. He's still retweeting them, so he's still giving that wink and that nod to his people that he still got them, even though he's making these blanket statements. And also notice that he has not condemned white supremacy on his main form of communication, which is his Twitter feed, which he said is a presidential statement. Also remember that when we look at the people, the CEOs who are taking the bold move of jumping off of his council as it relates to job creation and the like, the only person he's actually condemned is the Merck CEO, Frazier, who happens to be black. Elon Musk, Kevin Plank, all of these other people None of them have been condemned so ignorantly and so just in such a bizarre way as he did Frazier. So what was that about, really, at the end of the day? I appreciate the fact that some people try to give him a chance, but as it relates to leadership, as it relates to talking about racism, this is a man who has no moral authority and has no desire or business in obtaining that moral authority. And quite honestly, whatever he says means nothing as long as Gorka, Bannon, and Steve Miller are still there. And even if they leave, we know that there'll be some type of communication with them in some way, shape, or form. So this is put up or shut up time, America. This is the time where we need to be upstanders and not bystanders. Continue to resist. Continue to fight the good fight. Continue to praise people when they say the right things, but also remember that records matter. So let's dig deeper into what these congressmen, these senators, all of these leaders out there are saying about what's going on in our community. What are they doing as it relates to illegal immigration and legal immigration, as it relates to rounding people up? What's really going on beyond the rhetoric? And if we really want to take our leadership to the next level, if we want to really build a country as good as it's promised, if we really want to get out here in this thing called leadership and be proactive and not reactive, we need to take people to task every single day. So I'm asking you in closing, who's your senator? Who's your congressman? Who's your congresswoman? Who are your city representatives? Who's your chief of police? We need to know these things so we can have direct, targeted action as it relates to calling out people who aren't working in the best interest of all Americans. As I said before, if you're not a billionaire and a member of the 1%, you have more in common with me than you do with them. So let's get out there and work together. Who's on your school board? What are we doing to challenge the policies of Betsy DeVos that are destroying the educational system? As they say, education is supposed to be the great equalizer, and we know that it's not. It's becoming more and more divisive every single day. So yes, we did a great job in fighting and resisting this weekend, and we are not done. We have more work to do for the sake of this country, for the sake of the future, and for the sake of our children. So guys, this is not the time to get complacent. This is the time to stay compassionate and get out there and fight. And nobody can stay on the sidelines anymore, because your silence is compliance. And we need all hands on deck if we are truly, and I repeat, truly interested in building a better America for everyone. Peace.